Do you remember the Eldar video? If you don't, then either, hi, welcome to the channel, thanks for stopping by, or, since it came out like 4 weeks ago, I'm seriously concerned for your memory. In the Eldar video, I had a bit of a session of gushing out about Lady Aurelia Malys, she with the crystal heart Archon of the Kabal of the Poisoned Tongue, but when I made the video, I did not have the miniature for Lady Malys. At the time, a month ago, I wasn't exactly in the best place monetarily speaking, and frankly I'm still not, so it would just be irresponsible to get the miniature when I need to pay rent and buy food. So I bought the miniature for Lady Aurelia Malys. And since I recently painted her up, I thought, what better way to justify this purchase than to take a detailed look at Lady Aurelia Malys' rules and lore over the years. So, let's do that. The Drukhari before 5th edition were thematically very much the same as the modern Drukhari, but many things were either very different or completely lacking. How many of you have thought about Cruella the Vile in a hot minute? But anyway, in this first codex we did get a few characters who would remain for a good hot minute, including Asdrubale Vecht, Lilith Hesperax, Yrene Rakath, Drazar and Karadrach the Decapitator. However, a trio of fan favourites were completely absent, those being Baron Sithonyx, Duke Sliscus, and, importantly for this video, Lady Aurelia Malys. The 4th edition of 40k did not have a Dark Eldar codex, but the 5th edition would come in with a vengeance, with not only a new Drukhari codex, but an entirely new Drukhari line as well. The codex introduced quite a few new things, and I did get more into it in the Eldar video, but our focus is found on page 53. Another flawless victory. Oh well. It almost makes one long for a loss, just to keep things interesting. Almost, but not quite. Lady Aurelia Malys is the aloof and ruthless Archon of the Kabal of the Poisoned Tongue. She's quite young for an Archon, less than 1,000 years of age, yet she has come to rival the Supreme Overlord of Commorragh, Asdrubale Vecht, in intellect and cunning. She's unyieldingly intelligent and has an uncanny ability to predict her foes' every move. This has caused some to derisively chalk this up to psychic power, but in truth, this is due to her mind being, quote, like a steel trap. Remember that turn of phrase, we will return to it. In political situations, Malys always conducts herself with utmost grace and decorum, even with a cold politeness. Her cabal is formed only of those who prove themselves capable with their tongue as well as their deadliness. As deft at avoiding a political attack as she is at avoiding the strike of a blade, Lady Malys' rise to power was nigh on inevitable. Her ascension to rival Vecht was, in truth, Vecht's fault. Aurelia Malys was once Vecht's consort, and even at that time, it was her mind that attracted Vecht to her. But in time, his fascination withered, and he grew to find Malys as nothing more than an annoying insect, banishing her from his court. This, unsurprisingly, did not sit well with Malys, who gathered her most loyal followers and entered the webway. It was here, however, that her path forward changed forever. In the strange parallel realm, Malys found herself separated from her retinue, and came face to face with a strange being of pure light. The being challenged Lady Malys to a contest of wits, and that the loser would forfeit their heart to the winner. Malys agreed, and a fierce contest began. To both contestants' surprise, Malys found herself matching the being in intellect, before finally defeating the strange creature. With a chuckle, the being vanished, leaving behind a strange living sword and a heart of pure crystal. As if on instinct, Malys took the animate blade, carved out her still-beating heart, and shoved the crystal heart inside. The crystal heart still beats in her chest. Upon returning to Commorragh, Malys built up her power base, forging the Kabal of the Poisoned Tongue into a force that even rivals the Kabal of the Black Heart. Her plans are immaculate and yet indecipherable, each victory as flawless as the last. It is even rumored that Malys will one day usurp Vect as the supreme ruler of the Dark City. But through her rise to power, Malys has not once smiled in public. Her face is as if she were always wearing a mask of naught but a stony-faced seriousness. She has expressed no pleasure, no excitement, no fear, only a stern, cold contempt for those around her. But whenever she finds herself alone, she would gaze upon her face in the mirror and grin, then smile, then giggle, eventually being seized by fits of hysteric, maniacal laughter that seems to come from two throats at once. Alright, now that I get a full episode to talk about just Lady Malys, I can use an entire page to gush about just her backstory. Moving into the rules side of things, Lady Malys shares a stat line with the standard Archon: 7 ballistic and weapon skill, strength and toughness 3, 3 wounds, 7 initiative, 4 attacks, leadership of 10, and a 5-up save. She's clad in Kabalite armor and carries plasma grenades, and has the abilities Fleet, Night Vision, Power from Pain, and Independent Character, statistics shared by most of the Drukhari infantry units, except the Independent Character thing. Where she diverges is with some of her personal special rules, starting with her special war gear. Alongside her standard stuff, Lady Malys has a steel fan, which counts as a simple close combat weapon, and the Lady's Blade, which functions as a power weapon, but lets Lady Malys make 2 bonus attacks each round of combat. These attacks are rolled separately, and if you roll a double when rolling to hit, the sword rebels, the attacks automatically miss, and the sword no longer gives bonus attacks. Her third unique piece of war gear is the Crystal Heart, which makes her, and any unit she joins, completely immune to psychic powers. She also has an invulnerable save of 4+, as she has an uncanny ability to predict the position of her enemy's weapons, dodging out of the way just in time. Her final special rule is Precognizant. As Lady Malys is always at least one step ahead of her enemies, she's able to select D3 units in her army and redeploy them, even putting them into strategic reserves if she so desires. We also learn in this book what Lady Malys' opinion on Duke Siliscus is, as she is quoted as referring to him as amoral, despicable, and impeccably dressed into the bargain. The 6th edition of 40k did not have a Codex Dark Eldar, so this codex was used throughout both 5th and 6th editions of the game. In 7th edition, however, we got a new Codex Dark Eldar, but the 3 characters we had come to know and love had no rules at all. Even Asdrubal Vect did not have any rules here. If you wanted to use these characters, however, you could, as the rules from 3rd to 7th were all fairly interchangeable, with only minor differences in regards to vehicles and flyers and such. As such, Lady Malys retained the exact same rules and lore as in the 5th edition codex, but we did get a bit of a lore blurb regarding the Cabal of the Poisoned Tongue. The Cabalites of the Poisoned Tongue are described as universally sharp of wit, and that they have a flair for duplicity that is so pronounced that they can dismantle their opponents with naught but words. They're experts in misdirection and deception, allowing their allies to suffer the worst attrition during the real space raid, before they deliver the killing blow and reap the ripest harvest. Should things not go as planned, the Poisoned Tongue can deftly scapegoat their allies and rivals should things go south. This has led to the Poisoned Tongue being looked upon with distrust, but none can deny that this Cabal is excellent at what they do, be it poisoning foes with splinter cannon fire, or poisoning relations between 2 Cabals with their forked tongues. And besides, what 2 Cabals actually trust each other? We need not go too far for our next pit stop, as in 7th edition we find Codex Harlequins. This codex, of course, does not provide any new rules for the Cabal of the Poisoned Tongue or for Lady Malys, but it does give us the Mask of the Veiled Path, where we find, on page 34, the following paragraph. The Veiled Path's machinations extend throughout the realms of the Eldar. It was they, for example, who sent one of their number under the assumed name of Silandri Veilwalker to maneuver Prince Uriel into taking up the Spear of Twilight. It was the Veiled Path who indirectly set Lady Malys upon the road to her strange encounter in the webway and the arcane bond with Kegarach that resulted. To what end these confluences and countless others have been arranged, none can say except the mask's own seers. So here we finally have a hint as to who the being of light whose heart Malys stole truly is, none other than the laughing god Kegarach. And we learn that it was the Harlequins of the Veiled Path that, no matter how inadvertently, set Malys down this path. In 2017, the 8th edition of Warhammer 40,000 came out, and with it a massive rules shake-up. Many of the more complicated rules from the previous editions were smoothed out to make the game more beginner-friendly, but with such massive rules changes, many characters were left by the wayside. And unfortunately, though many things would get Legends rules to let you add them to your army, Lady Malys was not one of them. And when the 8th edition Codex Drukhari was released, the only named characters to get rules were Lilith Hesperax, Urian Rakath, and Drazar. But we were not completely without hope, for we received an entire page just describing the Cabal of the Poisoned Tongue and its aloof Archon. Much of what we knew is still the same, even having been taken directly from the previous Codex's lore blurb, or from Lady Malys's page in the 5th edition Codex, but here we find out what has happened since the murder of Vect in the wake of a demon incursion to Comera. When Vect was murdered, many began to suspect Lady Malys as responsible for this act. As such, Malys, with her steel-trap mind and precognition, saw that a reprisal from the Black Heart was inevitable, so she took a bulk of her cabal and vanished off into the webway. A wake was held for Vect, where nearly all Archons of Comera arrived, either to honor the late Overlord of Comera or to carve up his fiefdom. To this wake came the Mask of the Veiled Path. The Harlequins put on a performance in honor of Vect, but at the height of the play, the Harlequins slaughtered every Archon in attendance and used their blood to restore Vect to life as a living dark muse. The homunculi coven of the Prophets of Flesh under Urian Rakath returned the slain Archons. Those who had shown loyalty to Vect were restored to their position as Archon, while those who had opposed Vect were turned into grotesque mockeries of their former selves, as slaves to Asdrubal Vect's will. Once more was Lady Malys's precognition rewarded, as from the webway she was able to avoid this bloody spectacle and, at least by the time of the 8th edition Codex, the Poisoned Tongue watched the Dark City from afar. The 9th edition of Warhammer 40,000 did not bring much in the way of new lore, giving us a short lore blurb about the Cabal of the Poisoned Tongue, and no new rules for Lady Malys were added. The closest we got was the release of Kill Team Soul Shackle at the end of 9th edition, which pits an Adeptus Arbites Exaction squad against the Hand of the Archon, a force of expert Kabbalai Trueborn led by an Arch-Cyberite directly in service to their Cabal's Archon. In the story of Soul Shackle, a raiding party of the Cabal of the Poisoned Tongue, led by the Dracon Nazir, seeks to plunder the Space Hulk Gallowfall. However, the Cabal's Hand of the Archon has been ordered by Lady Malys herself to enter the Hulk and bring to her an escaped Imperial Psyker. And now we reach the 10th edition of Warhammer 40,000, and finally we get to the reason I have this army and the reason I'm making this video. After 15 years, Lady Aurelia Malys has her first miniature, and brand new rules to go along with it. Here, after a long time, the Cabal of the Poisoned Tongue has been put on equal footing with the Cabal of the Black Heart, getting second billing in a half-page lore blurb. Much of what we already knew is still the same, but we get something new. The Fangs of Malys, exemplars of the Poisoned Tongue who have impressed their Archon sufficiently to be selected for this great honor. The Fangs of Malys are experts at manipulation, misdirection, and deception, appearing on enemy augur screens and comms as allies, right up until they're close enough to pounce on their prey. Malys herself leads the Fangs of Malys, leading to a terrifying efficiency and a rich yield for the Cabal of the Poisoned Tongue. We also get a full spread dedicated to the Maze Weaver herself, Lady Aurelia Malys. A term repeated from the 9th edition Codex, Malys is here called an intellectual titan. The stories from Codex Dark Eldar 5th edition and Codex Harlequin 7th edition are here combined, and it is now stated that the tale of Malys's rise to power has led some Drukhari to believe that Malys matched wits with Kegarach himself. The truth of her crystal heart is not known, but Lady Malys has neither confirmed nor denied the tale. If you ask me, yes, I think Lady Malys matched wits with Kegarach and is physically and spiritually bound to the Great Trickster through a heart of crystal in her chest. Now, whether Kegarach wanted Malys to win or not is a different matter entirely. Malys is stated here to enjoy a long-standing favor of the Cabal of the Veiled Path, so perhaps there is more to the rumors than mere, well, rumors. Indeed, Lady Malys has on multiple instances joined forces with the Mask's greatest Shadowseer, Silandri Veilwalker. With the Veiled Path being responsible for the massacre at Vekt's funeral, perhaps it was both Malys's precognition and the schemes of the Mask that spared the Archon of the Poisoned Tongue. Malys enjoys concocting her plans in secret and in solitude, but many swear that they hear two voices conversing behind her closed doors, quote, that of the Maze Weaver herself, and another dry and sinister whisper, likened to a spider's legs scrabbling in broken glass. None who might know the truth of the matter are alive to tell it. The mind is the keenest blade of all, and foresight the surest poison. Just want to quickly say about that previous quote, I love this little attribution below it. Lady Malys addressing Inquisitor Helgard and his warband in the moments before their inventively horrible demise. After Vekt's ascension, rumors have begun circling about Malys, claiming that she is building an alliance of Archons to usurp Vekt as supreme overlord of Comera. But others claim the opposite, that she is a secret agent of Vekt's, seeking to draw out those of dubious loyalty. The truth might not ever be known. Either one of these rumors could be true, or neither, or both. Malys's schemes are such that none but her, and perhaps Kegarach, can truly see through them. And that is why she's my favorite. Now we get to the rules. The 10th edition of 40k has a rather different datasheet system from any previous edition, borrowing much from Age of Sigmar, including putting attacks and strength into weapon profiles. Lady Malys has a movement of 7 inches, making her, and pretty much all Drukhari, faster than your standard Space Marines. She has a toughness of 3, a 4-up save, 5 wounds, a leadership of 6 up, and an objective control characteristic of 2. She has a native 4-up invulnerable save. She has no ranged weapons, as with her previous rules, but she wields a razor fan, giving her 6 extra attacks, which hit on 2s at strength 3, no armor penetration, and damage 1, functionally acting as an extra attacks close combat weapon. Malys's real killing potential comes from the Lady's Blade, delivering 6 attacks, which hit on 2s at strength 5, AP-3, and flat 3 damage. Every 6 to wound also causes devastating wounds, but the Lady's Blade is a hazardous weapon, each roll of 1 causing 3 mortal wounds. Lady Malys has a 5-up Feel No Pain and can lead a unit of Kabalite warriors, incubi, or a Hand of the Archon. She also has the Power from Pain special rule, and her pain ability is Archon of the Poisoned Tongue. Upon using a pain token during your shooting or fight phase, you can empower this unit, giving the entire unit either sustained hits 1 or lethal hits, exploding 6s, or auto wounds. Along with this, Lady Malys has 2 abilities. Precognizant, allowing the player to redeploy up to 3 Drukhari units if Malys is a part of the army, and Mind like a steel trap. See, I told you it'd come back. An aura that forces enemy units within 12 inches using stratagems to use an extra command point to use that stratagem. Let's take a look at this miniature, shall we? She's beautiful, isn't she? Lacking in flayed skin compared to most Drukhari out there, but I think that's more of a feature than a bug. Lady Aurelia Malys is too elegant and beautiful for such foolish pursuits as wearing skin cloaks. Many have also drawn comparisons between this model and Shadowheart from the game Baldur's Gate 3, and I understand why. There is a definite resemblance, but I don't have Baldur's Gate 3 and I haven't really watched it be played, so I didn't think that when I first saw this mini. Although I do get a bit of a kick from seeing pictures of Shadowheart and going, oh hey, they put Lady Malys in Baldur's Gate. What isn't there to love about Lady Malys? From her Harlequin connections to her stony mask and insane fits of two-voiced laughter in private, to her miniature that makes me feel very small and very subservient all of a sudden. Ignore that. Malys is a delightful character through and through. And with her new miniature, I'm eager to see her wreak havoc in real space and Comora alike. Thank you all for watching this video and indulging me in a very silly hyperfocus. I needed a mental health break after the Khorne video. As much as I love Khorne, that video drained me thoroughly. Although, it did push the channel over 50 subscribers, so thank you so much, you're all insane, in the best way. I never expected this channel to reach 50 subscribers in such a short amount of time, thank you. If you made it all the way to the end here, why not tell me who you'd like to see brought back to the Drukhari range? There's quite a lot to choose from Vect to Sliskus to Karadrach to Sithonyx to, well, Cruella the Vile, I guess. Has anybody asked for Cruella the Vile to come back? Maybe we should bring back Cruella the Vile and the Emasculators. Actually, on second thought, with a name like that, I am not particularly surprised that Cruella hasn't made an appearance. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!